Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Stanley Dyrector Show. I want to get with it. My guest today, Mickey Callan, also known as Michael Callan, dancer, singer, actor, producer, was on Broadway and West Side Story. They came to Cordova.
Cordura.
Cordova, how do you like that?
Close. You were
Thank
close.
you, sir. Mickey, I have to ask you, my great guest here, and really it's an honor to have you here.
Well, thank you.
How, and why did you go into show business?
Well, that's a long story. We got about 20 minutes to go.
We got about 3 days.
Okay. I started when I was about 11 years old. I went to neighborhood singing schools and dancing schools. And when my voice changed, they kept giving me dancing lessons. So I got free dancing lessons, and eventually I did amateur shows around Philadelphia. A Sunday morning Horn and Hardart show, all those things. And I turned professional when I was 15 and did a bunch of nightclubs and stuff. And when I got out of high school, I went to New York and auditioned for the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very fortunate because first day I was in New York, I auditioned for about 5 summer stock shows and ended up getting offers for all 5 of them. So I took St. Louis, the Muni Opera in St. Louis, and I went there for 16 weeks. Very homesick, and I don't think I was ever going to leave home at that point in time when I got back. But when I was in St. Louis, I made friends with a guy and a girl, and we put a little nightclub act together. And I promised, I guess, in one of my weak moments that I would meet them in New York. I got a call from them a few days after I got back to Philadelphia. And they said, come on into New York tomorrow. They're having an audition for a show called The Boyfriend. So I went, took the family car and drove into New York. And actually, there were about 300 of us auditioning at that point in time. And they needed one swing girl and a swing boy. I got the job, first day in New York. So it was quite a start. I mean, yes, how I got into the business. Yeah. A lot of luck and a little talent at that point in time.
And you joined Equity, right?
Joined Equity. I got $90 a week.
Wow.
And I was a happy camper.
Yeah, but I mean, your career has been a long career, and it's still going, I have to say. But as I say, you were kind of my hero when I was a young actor. My friend Sheila Fisher came out from New York.
Sheila Fisher?
Yeah, Sheila Fisher. Yeah, well, she came out from New York, and she said, I saw this guy on Broadway, Mickey Callan, in West Side Story. He played Riff, and he was sensational. And what's West Side Story? And then I went to Wallach's Music City, and I bought the album. Actually, you could play it at Wallach's Music City.
I remember.
And I listened, and I just fell in love with the show, and it was just very inspiring. Can you tell us how you got it? How long it took you to get it? Were there any, the ups and downs of it?
I'll do my best.
Okay.
I auditioned, I did a couple of flops after The Boyfriend, shows that didn't make it. And eventually I got a call to audition for West Side Story. And I did, and I was told I was too good looking for the part, that I should actually have a truck run over and come back. So I forgot about that, and about a year went by, and I got a call from Jerome Robbins' office saying they wanted to see me, and I said, you already saw me, told me I was not ready for the part. They said, come in. So I went to the theater and did my song and dance, and I heard from the back of the theater Robbins' voice saying, can you do a backflip? And I just threw a backflip. Got lucky, it worked out okay, and I got in my little Thunderbird and drove off to Summerstock. And when I got there, a couple of days later, the orchestra leader there at Summerstock said, come on down to the pit, I got something for you. He said, by the way, you got the role in West Side Story. And he played my song, and I said, what kind of music is that? It'll never make it. I'm in a flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy action.
Yeah.
Easy action.
Cool.
So, cool, real cool.
Yeah.
But this was just such a successful play.
Oh, yeah. We were in, we did 5 weeks of rehearsal in New York, and then we took another road and went to Washington, where we got 12, curtain calls. And when we got back to New York and only got about 9, I used to look at Tony Mordenti and say, what's with this audience? Only 9. But it was a great experience, and I was with the show for about 7 months when Columbia Pictures saw me and signed me to a 7-year contract. In fact, that's how my name got changed to Michael Callan. Somebody called me and said, get the paper. It was Luella Parsons' column, headlines, that they changed my name without asking me. I said, well, okay.
Is that
I'm now Michael. But all my friends always refer to me as Mickey.
Mickey? I still getting back to West Side. By the way, did we show that album cover? I think I have an album cover. Yeah, there it is. Okay, of West Side Story. Larry Kurt and Carol Lawrence, and
I was with Carol the other day. We drove out to Santa Barbara to meet some people who are going to put on the 50th anniversary of West Side Story next year.
Is that right?
07, yeah.
That has to be very exciting.
Wow.
Obviously.
Where did the time go?
Where did it go? Right.
Yeah.
Well, but from West Side Story, you did get a contract to Columbia Pictures, right?
Yeah.
What was that process? Was some producer in the audience that said, I've got to sign this gentleman up?
Joyce Selznick was in the audience. She had signed Tony Curtis and James Darren. That was her legacy there. And she got me. She spotted me. I guess she was a talent scout for Columbia Pictures. And so they did a, what do they call it? Not a screen test, a personality test, they called it.
Oh.
You just sat there and they didn't tell you what was going on. The director would ask you questions, and then I would say, well, when's this test going to happen? They said, it's already done. It's over. And,
Did you fly out, or did
yeah.
they drive out?
No.
I don't know.
In those days, it was a long flight.
Long flight.
Long flight in those days.
Long flight. Round trip ticket. Because of the.
No, it was one way. I had a contract.
Oh well, that's was it big money? Probably great money, right?
In those days, $650 a week. It was a lot of money.
That sure is great money. And wait a minute, at Columbia, Kim Novak was on the contract at Columbia Pictures.
Yeah.
A whole, bunch of big stars.
Well, my first picture was with Gary Cooper, Rita Hayworth, Van Heflin, Tab Hunter,
That's right.
Richard Conte. It was a big cast.
Right.
It was kind of exciting to come back to New York and say hello to all my friends that I'd left.
Right.
And I was
You can say the title because I misstated the title.
Oh, they came to Cordura. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that was shot overseas, wasn't it?
No, it was shot in Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it? Obviously, you were very facile with memorizing lines and things like that, since you were a stage actor. Did they ever kind of change lines with you on the set and things like that, dialogue?
Yeah, if it was necessary at last minute, they'd do that. But actually, back to West Side Story, that was where I really got my training as an actor. Because Jerry was very much, Jerome Robbins was very much an actor's...
Actor's director, choreographer.
Yeah. Actor's studio is what I meant to say.
Organic.
That kind of, yeah.
Well, Tony Mordante also was in that play with you, and he, a very intense gentleman who became a director.
Yeah, Tony.
And were you guys like cronies or something like that?
Yeah, we used to hang out. Well, Cheetah, he was married to Cheetah Rivera.
That's right.
Back then,
Mm-hmm.
and for quite a few years after, whenever I'd go to New York, I would stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And Cheetah's still going strong.
Yeah, she is. Golly, she's really a superstar on Broadway. What is your technique for an approach to a part as an actor? How do you go about it?
Just read the script, mark the script, underline, your parts.
Yeah.
Learn the words.
You don't go into the psychology, or do you feel that you're there
Sometimes
already?
I do if the part calls for it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have that many really heavy roles to do in those days.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you were a pretty boy. Come on, you were a pretty boy. That was kind of a label that
That's what they were buying in those days.
That's what they were buying, and it kind of. But you were an actor. That was the thing, and.
Well, coming from New York was a big help. I mean, they kind of respected talent that could make it on the boards on Broadway, and I played the part for a year, and I was ready to do whatever they wanted me to do.
Well, but the dancing aspect. Now, did you go to dance school when you were like a young kid, or?
Yeah.
And
I studied ballet. My father had a luncheonette in Philly called Lou's Knotty Pine Inn, and all the hoofers were from North Philadelphia. The singers were from South Philly, and they would take me outside in front of the luncheonette, and the sparks would fly from their leather, and they took me out to the park and taught me acrobatics. And I know they held out for $50 for one particular step that my father wanted them to teach me. My dad used to give them milkshakes and all that stuff, and run tabs for them.
you were kind of one of your heroes. You were inspired by was Gene Kelly, right?
Oh yeah, I loved his films. He was my idol, and I did get to meet him at a party one night in Los Angeles. And we talked, and he said, I like your dancing, kid, because I danced in a couple of films up at that point in time.
Yeah.
And he said, you got to come into the studio with me, and I'll teach you some stuff that I'm not going to be using anymore. He was getting a little old. I never took him up on it, but I should have. I often regret that.
He's a
sweet man.
He was the ultimate.
Yeah.
I wrote down a couple of notes over here, and you know something? I can't even read my own writing. So what I'm going to say is, I remember you also did Police Story, and Police Story is kind of a classic show. Did you like? I mean, how did you feel about doing television as opposed to doing legitimate plays?
Well, it was different. It was quicker,
Uh-huh.
You had 3 days to do a show, or 5 days, a week,
Right.
whatever. But it felt kind of natural to just to do whatever they asked me to do. If that makes sense.
Well, no, it makes sense. But did you played like cops and things like that, and those kind of roles?
Yeah, my favorite kind of role, I think one of the better pictures I did was Cat Ballou.
Oh, okay, Lee Marvin, right?
Lee won the award for that.
That's right.
Best actor.
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Cat Ballou.
Cat Ballou, got to work with Jane Fonda, which wasn't bad, and.
But you weren't dancing. I mean,
we did a little hoedown dance in that picture.
Hoedown. Yeah.
I got to dance in a picture called Peppy.
Right.
We had 30 of the biggest stars in California.
Cantinflas was in that movie too?
Cantinflas, yeah. And I got to dance in a picture called Gidget Goes Hawaiian.
Gidget Goes Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Deborah Wally or?
Debbie, yeah.
Okay. Hey, look, I'm
No,
a trivia.
You're there.
I'm there. I'm trying to be there, but let me ask you this: did you find it kind of bothersome to be a contract player because they would mostly look at the superficial aspects or get you into superficial things, meaning fan magazine layouts, photographers flashing bulbs in your face and all that?
At that point in time, it was a dream come true. It was the idea of being under contract. Well, we were really the last of the contract players.
What do you mean, the last? Like, I know Gable used to be on that contract, and Jimmy Stewart, and...
Well, they started to phase us out, and I kept looking over my shoulder to see who was left, you know, and as they would cancel the
the
contract.
major studios were
Yeah.
falling or dissolving.
Well, they weren't dissolving, but they were becoming more entities for producers. Producers got more control over the films. And so they would, the studio couldn't take the contract player and say, we're going to put them in your picture anymore.
Right.
So they dropped the contract players.
Which part would you have loved to have played that you didn't play?
King Rat.
King Rat?
Yeah, King Rat, George Siegel got the role.
Okay.
I guess we were both under contract at the time. But you asked me, I told you.
Okay, all right. Another thing, when they were doing the movie West Side Story, I would think you were the perfect fit, the perfect match. Broadway, handsome guy. You know, what do you, did they test you or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, sure. I tested for my role. I tested for the part of Tony also.
Which Richard Beamer played.
Yeah. And, but being under contract at Columbia, I don't know whether they had a problem in negotiations or whatever. All I know is I was sent to Spain.
To do Mysterious Island.
Island, yeah.
Right, right.
Which, you know.
Which was a good movie.
Yeah,
Hey.
it became a cult classic.
Right,
They play it all the time.
right. I mean, you know, it's a funny kind of business, show business. And obviously, when you get, say, your contract is canceled and you're living in Hollywood, California, did you ever say to yourself, hey, I'm married, I got kids, I gotta have something else to fall back on? Did that ever happen to you?
No, as the years went on and the parts got less and less, it became apparent that you had to do something else. I got into producing a little bit.
Oh?
Yeah, I produced an Alan Sherman show, Hello Mother, Hello Father.
Yeah, sure.
With a gal friend of mine, her name Michelle Martin. We became partners on that show.
Uh-huh.
And we're partnering another show at the moment, which unfortunately I can't talk about until contracts are.
Right, sure.
But, it has a major director attached and a major Broadway star.
Right.
And we'll start rehearsals in about a week.
Very good. Hey, break a leg.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, which hat do you prefer to wear? The writer, not the writer, actually the actor, singer, dancer, golly, producer. Which hat is...
I like them all.
You like?
Whatever comes up, I like to do.
You like? What was the toughest scene you ever did in say, in a movie that you can think of?
Well, there was a film that I produced called Double Exposure, and I had to play kind of a psychotic character.
Uh-huh.
And it was in that picture that I had to talk to the devil and God and all different kinds of... It was a tough scene.
Tough scene for
Yeah.
you. Emotionally, or?
Oh, sure.
Uh-huh. If I gave you $100 million, this is a Stan-ism. Make it 150 because budgets have gone up, okay? And I said, Mickey Callan, make me a movie for this $150 million. What kind of a movie would you make me? Or would you take the money and abscond to...
Well, that thought crossed my mind. But I'd like to make an old Hollywood musical. That would be fun.
You mean like Ginger and Fred Astaire, Gene
Yeah,
Kelly,
sure.
and Leslie Caron?
Probably wouldn't sell anymore, but
What? Really? I mean, after well, let's see, Chicago, which was very well received.
yeah. Well, Chicago was originally a New York show, Broadway show.
True, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you ever heard them talk about remaking some of these old musicals again?
Well, they are. They constantly do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing now, what's in the works, but
I don't know how they ever could remake the play West Side Story with the original cast.
well, it was originally Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Arthur Lawrence was the playwright, wasn't he? So he transposed Shakespeare to
Yeah.
West Side Story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was Mercutio,
right.
and Maria was Romeo Juliet.
Uh-huh. Those had to be great days, which we talk about and which I personally dwell upon all the time. But, okay, so you'd make musicals, you'd make big musicals. Let me ask you, did you know that Jerome Robbins and Robert Wise had kind of a split on the movie of West Side Story, whereas Jerry Robbins was very much into, as you had said before, the organic process for actors, and Robert Wise was more cinematic, perhaps, being a editor, director. But they had a little problem, didn't they?
Well, I think the problem was that Jerry just loved to, he was never satisfied with the dances, and he would rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, and film time is money.
Right,
And I think they had a little problem because they couldn't get him to,
right.
to put it on film.
Right. Now, did you work for a lot of, I can only use the word obsessive people, like choreographers, directors, where they really were just so much into getting the perfect take?
Well, my only the only thing I can compare it with is Jerome Robbins, because that was the most intense piece of work that I ever had to get involved with, and he was the man.
And you were a young man at the
Yeah.
time.
About 20 years old, 21.
20 years old. And you have a couple of kids and a
Oh yeah,
couple of daughters, right?
I have 2 daughters and 2.3 1/4 grandkids.
It's
I got a little grandson coming in April.
Hey, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. What kind of advice would you give to people starting out in the business?
Well, the business keeps changing so much. It's very difficult to give advice. I still think New York is a great training ground for film. And
How has it changed, the business, since when you started?
well, the cost of making film is astronomical now.
Uh-huh.
Where you used to make a picture for $800,000, and it's now 35 million. And that's just for the star.
Right, right. What about the training that young actors have these days as compared to when you were starting out? Because, I mean, it seems that the actors today are not as prepared as people in the past. Or dancers. I mean, they kind of seem to wing it as opposed to...
I'll tell you, I'm amazed at some of the talent that is around today. The dancers are doing things that we never dreamed of doing. I'm talking about the acrobatics, all that stuff. But I still think that New York is the place to go for training.
But had you ever wanted to wear another hat besides producing and being an actor, singer, dancer? Is there a director, being a director?
I played with that idea a little bit and got to do some of it on a film that I produced, Double Exposure with James Stacy and Pamela Hensley, Cleavon Little. I got to shoot some of that picture.
Oh, okay. Did you find it satisfying?
Yeah, it was very satisfying. But I didn't really keep up with it.
But now you'd much rather be where the money is as the producer. This way you see it.
Well, that's a good point.
Oh, well, listen, you know, something else. Do you still want to do acting? I mean, you're a producer, but I mean, you're still an actor. You worked last year, for crying out loud. And
I did, yeah. I did a film for the Farrelly brothers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Called Stuck on You.
Uh-huh.
And I worked with Cher and Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear. And it was good. It was fun to get back.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're always there. I mean, you're in the business and you continually are striving for the best things.
Oh, sure. You don't give up on that. It gives up on you, but you don't give up on it.
Yeah, that's why, because I want to know if maybe there's a place in the business for a guy like Stan, maybe somewhere. You know, because I have a script that weighs about 25 pounds. Actually, 20 pounds. I was thinking if I give it to you, you know a lot of big people, and, you know.
It would be my pleasure, Stan.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I want to thank my wonderful, great guest, Mr. Mickey Callan, who did me the honor of coming here and put up with my craziness. And I hope maybe we could do it again. Hey, maybe we'll go to Farmer's Market, huh?
Hey, that's a nice place to go.
Yeah, the Grove?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's lovely there.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Stan, for having me.
Listen, can I ask you this? Do you
How
take
much
your,
do you want?
Do you take the grandkids to the Grove yet?
No.
No, not yet. Okay. All right. Well, you're entitled. I mean, what the heck?
They're a little young yet.
They're a little young, huh?
Yeah.
You know, what actor did you like?
Tony Curtis.